talking about the former DG of the Obi Presidential Campaign Council, Dr. Doyin Okupe, who has now resigned his position as the DG of the Presidential Campaign Council of the Labour Party. Of course, this was after the whole conviction and the sentencing to 2 years jail term by the Federal High Court due to the fact that he was involved in a money laundering crime which happened when he was the aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan. And now he has now thrown in the towel, saying that he would not allow all of his personal travels to affect the political ambition or campaign of the Obi Presidential Campaign Council. Samson, a lot to talk about on this issue.
A lot.
It's quite different, away from the norm, because most times what we see is that a lot of Nigerian or African politicians want to hold tight to power. They have that term, sit tight politicians. They don't want to leave power. And we're talking about it just yesterday, saying that if Obi wants to keep that name of fighting corruption, of putting up that front of going against corruption, then he has to either tell him to go, let him go, or the man would have to do the honorable thing by stepping down. And he already did that. Yeah,
he did. Again, it's a controversial process that those who, are also querying to start with the fact that the judge decided to, issue a fine of 500,000 per counts of the charges it was found, which, amounted to 13 million naira of someone who laundered over 200 million in that sense. So there are those who question that judgment to start with. But
there have also been arguments against that, saying that it's not as if he actually stole the money. The issue was that the money didn't go through the right process.
It's still
and
against
that's
the law.
Fact that, yes, it's against the law. I'm just saying that it's a lesser crime as against actually stealing the money. We have people who are guilty of the same crime who are walking free on the streets. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Exactly. The thing is, I mean, the Money Laundering Act is clear. If an individual, gets 5 million above, it has to go through a financial institution, an organization 10 million above. So for the fact that an individual got over 5 million, in cash, and that didn't go through financial institution on several occasions, is guilty of, of breaking the law. So there are those who think that why issue 500,000 fine on each count? There are those who question that judgment, but I would leave that to the legal juggernauts to decide. I think the thing is for Okupe, that those who would also ask how powerful, we know the DG of a presidential campaign council is quite powerful, but if he was probably a governor or or maybe not governor, because governors have immunity, but maybe like a minister, would he really have stepped down? That those will also ask that questions. But regardless of the divide, it's commendable. That's what I was about saying. It's extremely commendable that he did the right thing. I don't know if it was forced or it was willing. But
there have also been questions as to whether it was forced.
It could have been leaned on to take that decision, but I think it's the right thing to do. It's also risky for the Obi Presidential Campaign Council because it's less than 10 weeks or barely 10 weeks to the elections, and you're changing your DG. Whoever is coming in that talks that Osuntoko may take over, how competent will he be?
But it's looking like this isn't phasing the presidential candidates in any way.
Apparently,
he has made several statements. I'm undaunted. I'm not demoralized. He has made several statements, but we know that talks are cheap.
Talks are cheap, but it's the right thing to do, at least on to the public. You don't want to prove that you get shaken easily, because this is just a stumble compared to the challenges that will face him when if he gets to the office. So you want to prove that regardless of what it is, you still have control and you're able to control the narrative in that sense. I think it's the right thing to do. How does this affect them going forward? Osuntoko, yes, has been within the system of these campaigns for the Labour Party in terms of various states and what have you. So again, it's not cast in stone that he will replace Okupe, but it looks like it at this time. So it may not affect them that much. But let's see how, you know, this works for them going forward, especially in the northern part of the country where they're trying to make inroads. Because the southern part, to some extent, especially what we see, you know, in terms of their various marches across states, it looks like they are doing quite well. But up north, that's, you know, a different ball game entirely. So Okupe stepping down, it's the right thing to do. Let's see who, you know, takes over from him. Now, you look at this and then you bring back the discussion we had earlier concerning the CBN governor. I mean, if you're linked to, you know, terrorism, that's a serious allegation.
Want to step down and say, well, I'm open, look into me and let's see if you find anything. But I'm also concerned about the Money Laundering Act itself.
Exactly.
I know a legal professional, Monday Ubani, was saying recently that now that someone has been prosecuted for that crime, that it should now serve as a basis or in a level playing ground for other people who have been guilty of that same crime to now be brought to book. Not just politicians, individuals too. There are a lot of people who do not even know that exchanging, you know, money beyond 5 million naira cash, beyond 5 million naira without going through a financial institution is a crime. There are a lot of people who do not know.
And, you know, those who know as well are also culpable. Again, let's
But how do you move over 1 million naira in cash?
No, it's simple now. 1,000 naira notes minted. You know, you have just like 5 or 10 starts.
The EFCC needs to look into you.
no, that's the thing. You see, that's where I have issues. Sometimes we talk about anti-graft agencies and their fight against corruption and how they are chasing the, you know, big wigs, you know, maybe governors or what have you. But where's the place of chasing the so-called small fishes? You do not have to wait for the big fish in terms of trying to fry that. You can go for the small fishes. EFCC was present.
I thought the issue was even bringing those big fishes to book. Because most times we see it on papers, media trials. In the end, it's swept under the carpet.
It takes years. I mean, we would have to also look at the judicial process, wherein you have a case, you know, spanning 7-8 years before a final verdict, maybe from Supreme Court. I mean, that's also ridiculous how we tend to just extend for no reason the process, the judicial process. But here's what I'm saying. EFCC agents were on ground for the presidential primaries of both the APC and the PDP. It was all over the news. EFCC agents were on ground. Yet they didn't see brown envelopes exchange hands.
But would the Money Laundering Act also
it would have covered that because it
you know, using dollars?
Well, again, that may be relative, but if I want to presume that an equivalent
because
of 5 million,
it's easier to use dollars.
Exactly, but an equivalent of 5 million naira as well, you still want to question that because those monies didn't go through the financial institutions. You know, we had some videos that circulated online where delegates, where delegates were flaunting some of these monies. So what was the duty of the EFCC officials on that day? They saw some of these things happen. Remember, again, we've had of accusations that even the police were also culpable in terms of vote buying and selling in Osun and Ekiti elections, that they saw some of these things happen and they looked the other way. So if EFCC officials or agents were on ground for both the APC and PDP primaries that were highly monetized, and it's not a secret, why didn't they go after a few individuals who they, you know, caught in the act or who they suspect to have carried out or perpetrated that act in terms of this Money Laundering Act itself?
Well, we have seen a great example set by Dr. Doyin Okupe, who is a medical doctor, by the way. He has done the honorable thing, and we wish the Obi-Dati Presidential Campaign Council all the best, especially as the fight to get their place in the 2023 presidential election. This is where we wrap it up. We'll be back for more. Please stay with us.